What is going on, trainers, and welcome back to another Go Battle League video. Now, it's been a while since my last video, but I was pretty ill last week. I got my COVID-19 vaccination and it kicked my ass. I was ill for days. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do anything. So we haven't been doing battles, we haven't been keeping up, so we're a little bit behind, but we're ready to catch up. And we managed to get a decent Talonflame for PvP in Great League, as well as a good one for Ultra League. So we're going to be bringing you those battles when Ultra League comes around as well. So all these battles today are between rank 7 and 8. Like we say, we are a little bit behind. We haven't played that many matches. We missed quite a few days of battles altogether because I was so ill. But we don't mind, because in a few days, once you start hitting towards the high teens and stuff in rank, you're only going to be sat walled by the cap of ELO as that slowly pushes up anyway towards rank 24. So there's no big rush to get to that point. We don't mind. But don't forget to subscribe if you do want to catch. We've got a rank 1 Talonflame for Ultra League. So if you want to catch that and see how good it can perform in Ultra League, then be sure to catch next week's video. Now, looking at today's team, we're bringing Talonflame, obviously running the Community Day move Incinerate. If you don't have this move on Talonflame, you will need an Elite Fast TM to get it. And this is a 289 IV spread, which is pretty highly rated for the Great League. We're running Galarian Stunfisk to cover it against some of its more Galarian weaknesses, especially Bastiodon. And we're also going to be running Meganium to cover against Azumarill that might swap in, any other water types. Now, this isn't the most balanced team, but we had a lot of fun with it, and these are still early ranks, so we're not going too try hard, and we're going to see how this team performs. So jumping into the first match against Brenzo Alexandre, and we've got a Dewgong lead. Now, you'd think this would be quite a bad matchup for Talonflame, but it's pretty neutral. The Incinerators are hitting for neutral damage, and obviously the Ice Shards from Dewgong are hitting for neutral damage. And you don't even have to shield the first Icy Wind, but it does mean at that point that they're going to be able to farm us down if they choose to commit shields at this point. We're going to go ahead and throw the Flame Charge. We don't lower our defense. And they call the bait, and we're going to go for a Flame Charge again. We thought about going for Brave Bird, but we're going for another Flame Charge because at this point it's threatening quite big damage, and we do get a shield. And now we are going to get farmed down, but we have taken a shield, which is pretty good for us. Now we're going to bring in Galarian Stunfisk, and they are going to probably get to 2 Icy Winds before we get to take them out yet. But this isn't too bad. They're going to hit for neutral, but it's not that much damage. Galarian Stunfisk is very bulky. We're going to build up a bit of extra energy, and now we're going to throw the Rock Slide, take out the Dewgong, and we're going to see what they've got in the back. And they bring in Meganium. Now we swap out immediately to our Meganium because we need to clear those attack debuffs to even have a chance at taking that Meganium out. And they hard punish our Meganium with an Altaria. So this is awful. So we're just going to spam as many Frenzy Plants as we can, do as much damage as we can to this thing, at least put it into single Rock Slide range. Although it's pretty much there already at this point, and it looks like they're going for a really aggressive farm down. So we're just going to keep throwing Frenzy Plants. We're going to keep the pressure on, we're going to keep hitting them, and maybe even pressure a shield out of them at this point, because this Frenzy Plant will take them out if they don't shield it, which is nuts. And they let it go down, so Meganium beats Altaria. No, it doesn't beat him in the 0 shield, but if they don't throw, those Frenzy Plants are going to add up. It's such a strong move. Unfortunately, that means that our Meganium is in farm down range and wouldn't get to another move against their Meganium, so we swap straight out into Stunfisk to start throwing these Rock Slides. Put some pressure on, hopefully get a shield. We've got 1 shield, so we can block 1 move, but at this point we're in range of a Frenzy Plant to take us out. This is gonna be super close because of that farm down attempt they made with the Altaria. But we get farmed down by the Meganium, and they've got energy ready to throw. We're gonna be able to shield one of them, but they're gonna have another move to throw anyway, so we just let it go down. But that was a close match, GG. If we'd have shielded in that first matchup and possibly taken switch over shield advantage, the game might have gone differently. And in this matchup, we've got a Swampert on the lead. Now, we swap into Stunfisk, and it's not a good answer to Swampert, but it makes them swap out because from their position, they're expecting us to swap and ready to swap themselves. So they've panicked and swapped without really thinking too much about what they were doing, which gives us a chance to take switch advantage. Now we're in a Stunfisk mirror match and we've got maybe half a turn energy lead. So at this point, it's a baiting game. We absolutely have to get our Meganium lined up with that Swampert. We cannot have Talonflame see that thing. So we're going to commit both shields into this, and we go straight for double Earthquake, and they go straight for double Earthquake. And I'm a little bit worried they're going to try and swap out and catch, but they don't. Either they miscount it, or they just didn't try to do it, and we beat them to the Earthquake, take them out, and that gives us switch advantage, and that is absolutely huge for us here, because now they're going to take us out, but we can get Meganium on this thing, and we should be able to get to a Frenzy Plant before Swampert gets to a Sludge Wave to take us out, and they swap out into a Skarmory. We've got Talonflame to punish this thing. This isn't a super dominant matchup when you've not got a shield, because Talonflame is super squishy and really cannot take many hits. I don't think this Sky Attack will quite take it out, but it will get us pretty low. But then the Incinerate damage is so high, it melts that poor thing. And the Swampert's win con really is to get to almost 2 Hydro Cannons worth of energy before they take us out. And we get to the Brave Bird, one-shot them, we take the win, GG. Sometimes swapping a Stunfisk into a Swampert can flip a matchup and help you take the win. Not often it'll happen, but sometimes they slip up, make that mistake, and it gives you that win con. Now, in this matchup, we had another bad lead with an Azumarill, so we swapped out into Galarian Stunfisk again. It functions more of a safe swap than Meganium does, but it does depend on that lead. Sometimes we'll use Meganium as a safe swap, and obviously that's risky in itself, because if you're punished with a flyer, there's not really much Meganium can do, but it's just the team we've built. But we're able to take Switch against that Machamp after we baited with a Rock Slide, and again, that's absolutely massive. Galarian Stunfisk is a very powerful and dangerous safe swap for flipping matchups around. So once again, we're able to get Meganium on the water type rather than keep the Talonflame stuck against them, and they've got their own Talonflame in the back. Now, this is kind of scary because they've got an Incinerate's worth of energy in the lead, but we have a shield advantage, and we should be able to get away with this and still take the win as long as they don't sneak an Incinerate through, and as long as we don't, for some reason, not shield a Brave Bird. Now, we threw the Frenzy Plant on Meganium because that puts Talonflame much closer to being in Flame Charge range. So we don't have to worry about baiting, we don't have to worry about trying to land a certain charge move over another and lowering our defense. We can just go straight for Flame Charges, but they shield up and then we can just farm down. We've got almost 100 energy, we can go for the Brave Bird, and this is super overkill on a Azumarill. It only had a bit of health left, but we're not here to take chances. We take them out, we take the win, GG. So jumping into the next match now, and we get a Wigglytuff lead. This is brilliant. Talonflame, because it's part Fire type, resists the charms, and they swap in a Granbull. Now this makes us super suspicious. We're going to throw a Brave Bird, which is either going to almost one-shot this thing, or give us a shield advantage, and they choose to shield, and we swap into Meganium. And the reason we do this and not swap into Stunfisk is if they lead a Charmer, and then they safe swap a Charmer, there's a good chance they're running a triple Charm team. And Granbull is here because it can run close combat, which would threaten a Steel type that you bring in. So the idea is that they would clear the Galarian Stunfisk or whatever Steel type you have, and then they have a third Charmer in the back that's free to sweep. And it is, they have a Whimsicott in the back running Charm. So this puts us in a very strong position because we can bring in Talonflame into this. They've got the shield down, so we can just throw a Brave Bird and then swap into Galarian Stunfisk. And there's going to be nothing they can do at this point. I'm not sure what charge moves Whimsicott learns. I think it knows Grass Knot. I don't know if it has access to Solar Beam, in which case it might have been a clever idea to shield, but we don't. We know we can probably take whatever they throw, and Talonflame would still have a strong matchup even if they did manage to get rid of Galarian Stunfisk. So we're just going to go for double Rock Slide, take this thing out, and we should be taking the win. GG. Now, this is my first time using an Incinerate user in PvP, but it is a very strong move. It hits so hard, and when it gets boosted by that Flame Charge, it hits even harder. Now, this is the nightmare lead, Bastiodon. We do not want to see a Bastiodon on lead, and we safe swap Meganium because obviously Galarian Stunfisk has a much stronger matchup than Meganium does against Bastiodon, and we're punished with a Jumpluff, which is Flying Grass. This is an absolute wall to a Meganium. The Frenzy Plants are double resisted. The Earthquake is triple resisted. So we're just going to throw Frenzy Plants at this thing. We're not going to shield any moves because we probably couldn't beat this thing if we had 200 energy advantage to throw at this thing. So we're just going to let it go down and then bring in Talonflame, farm down and see what we can do in the back. We're once again not going to shield this because it shouldn't hit for too much damage, whether it's an aerial ace or not, and it's an energy ball, so that's double resisted, so we don't take much damage at all. And we're just going to go for the farm down here because we know Talonflame is going to get blocked against that Bastiodon anyway, so it's not got that much use. But they're bringing in a Azumarill rather than the Bastiodon, which is interesting because this means we can throw the Brave Bird, which hits for a good chunk of damage there. Hitting for half health on an Azumarill from an unboosted Brave Bird is pretty impressive damage. And we're going to swap in Galarian Stunfisk now, and they must know they're going to have a bad time here now because the Azumarill doesn't have that much health left to deal with this Galarian Stunfisk, and they're in Rock Slide range, so we're going to keep throwing Rock Slides, keep putting the pressure on, get rid of those shields, because once this Stunfisk is against the Bastiodon, it's a good game. And they swap and they catch a Rock Slide on their Jumpluff, which is a solid play because they need to stall out energy to get enough energy from Azumarill to take out this Galarian Stunfisk. And we shield a Hydro Pump, which probably secures the win for us here. We know we've got some room to farm some extra energy, but we get greedy. We should have just thrown the Rock Slide, get rid of that thing. So now we've eaten an Ice Beam, and this means the Bastiodon's going to be able to farm us down and take out the Talonflame. We've made an absolute shambles there. If we'd have just thrown that Rock Slide, we'd have been looking pretty good. We can easily outpace Bastiodon to get to an Earthquake, and we would have been able to take them out, but good game to my opponent. Tip of the day, guys, don't get greedy. Alright, so we're jumping into the next match, and we've got a Talonflame Mirror. Now, this was my first time playing the Talonflame Mirror, and I wasn't super sure how it played out, like how much damage Flame Charge did, and whether to throw Brave Bird early or not, and I do decide to throw the Brave Bird, and this is ultimately a mistake. We do sneak an Incinerate through when they throw, which is good for us, but we decide, yeah, we're going to shield, but now we're threatened by Flame Charges. They can just throw Flame Charges because even if we let it through, it's going to hit us pretty damn hard at this point, and will probably take us out just because we dropped our defense. So we're going to let this go through. It's a Flame Charge, but look at that, it takes us out. We take a shield advantage because we figure we can take them out with Galarian Stunfisk, but we're going to have to use the shield anyway because they outpaced us to the Flame Charge, and we CMP tied, so there's no opportunity for a little bit of extra farm. So we take them out, and we're going to swap straight into Meganium, and they bring in Vigoroth. Now, shields down, Vigoroth isn't as threatening as it is when shields are up because the Body Slam spam is tough to deal with, and they've got a Ferrothorn in the back. So we're going to go straight for Earthquake here. This is going to hit for good neutral damage, but really this isn't looking good. Ferrothorn is a good answer, not only to Meganium, but it has decent play against Stunfisk as well. They hit us with the Flash Cannon and take us out, because obviously shields are down. Now we don't really have to worry about charge moves from Vigoroth, because Body Slam spam isn't really what's going to hurt Stunfisk, it's the counter damage. They hit us with a Power Whip. We're going to overcharge a little because we need as much energy as we can get to hopefully get to an Earthquake against that Vigoroth, but even that might not be enough to take it out, and we're not going to make it to it anyway. We're going to get farmed down. GG. So throwing the Brave Bird too early in that Talonflame Mirror match cost us quite heavily in that game, and in this match we've got an Altaria lead. Now, we stick in for a little bit because we can't really swap out. We can't swap out into Meganium because it's got an even worse matchup than Talonflame does, and Stunfisk is our only answer, so we can't bring that in because they'll just swap out. So we decide to stick around and go for Brave Birds. We figure we spent a shield, so maybe we'll get one back at least, but they don't shield, they let it go through, and that hits them for massive damage. So now we're just going to go for Flame Charge, and this is going to take them out and take Switch if they don't shield. So we take Switch against an Altaria, which is pretty good. Plus there's a good chance that's their best answer for Meganium gone as well. And they bring in a Venusaur to punish Galarian Stunfisk, which is, it's got a good matchup against Stunfisk, but not a super strong matchup. And we had so much energy, we're going to be really able to threaten this hard. We get at least one shield, we go for a Rock Slide. We figure at this point we need to get shields away and then let Meganium sweep, landing an Earthquake on the Alolan Marowak. So we're going for another Rock Slide, and this is going to be quite... It's not going to take it out, but it'll get it pretty low, so they do shield, because they don't want this thing to see yellow Marowak. So they're pretty desperate to get rid of it, and we're going to survive that as well and get to another Rock Slide. This is going to get them super low, if not take them out. And then it's just going to be a race with Meganium. We swap in, they swap to Marowak, and can they take us out? If this is a Shadow Bone, it's not going to take us out. Shadow Ball might not even take us out. It'd be close. Yep, it's just a Shadow Bone, doesn't take us out. We get to the Earthquake. This is going to one-shot a lower Marowak, or get very close to. And then we're going to be able to farm down this Venusaur and take the win. GG. So Talonflame is performing well, but you can see that Stunfisk and Meganium are both very strong as well and are helping carry the team through some awkward situations, especially where I'm not as comfortable with Talonflame. Now we get a Whiscash lead. Now at first I thought this was going to be a bad lead for Talonflame, but then I thought, why? Mud Bomb's not going to do that much damage. The Brave Birds are very threatening, and it means that we keep Stunfisk away from Whiscash, as Whiscash does very well against Galarian Stunfisk. So we're throwing a Flame Charge, we got a shield, now we're going to go for the Brave Bird. If they don't shield this, it's going to take him out, and it does get wrecked. Whiscash absolutely smashed to pieces. They bring in a Registeel, and we swap in Galarian Stunfisk, and they bring in a Charizard, and they quit. They know that Charizard and Registeel can't beat Galarian Stunfisk. Super quick game, but good game to my opponent all the same. And now we're up against Yoru Mihawk, or Yoru Mihawk, or Yoru Mihawk, and we get a Toxicroak lead. And again, this is a good lead for Talonflame. It's going to be resisting the counters, it's going to resist the Mud Bombs, has to watch out for the Sludge Bomb, but they swap out into a Galarian Stunfisk. So we're going to go ahead and throw a Flame Charge before we swap out, because it's going to do good damage and help us ensure we can take swap advantage. So now we're going to come in with our own Galarian Stunfisk because it has such a bad matchup against Toxicroak. And because we've got shield advantage, we can just go straight Earthquake and take this thing out. We don't need to bait, we don't need to worry about trying to bait. We're just going to go straight Earthquake, and even if they double bait us with Rock Slide, having that shield advantage means we're still going to be able to take them out first. So it can seem a little scary, but this will work out and we will get switch advantage. So the bait us again with Rock Slide, that's fine. We get to the Earthquake, this is going to take them out, and then we've still got swap advantage to keep Talonflame on that Toxicroak. So the Toxicroak comes back in, and they're going to go to farm us down, I think. Nope, we're going to make them throw, because if we got to the Earthquake, we'd have taken them out. So they have to throw, which is good, because it means if they could get to a Sludge Bomb, it would hit us for massive damage. And they still probably can get to one here, but it shouldn't take us out. It'll get us low, for sure. Yeah, it really does get us low, but we're able to make it to this Flame Charge, which is going to hit Toxicroak pretty hard. Might not take it out. Yeah, it takes it out. And we swap into Meganium, and they've got an Abomasnow in the back. This is bad news, bears. We don't want to see this thing. This is going to hit Meganium super hard with those ice moves, and we're not going to be able to take them out. We need probably 2 Frenzy Plants and a little bit more to finish them off, and we're just not going to be able to do enough. Abomasnow, again, a very solid choice in the Great League, and they're going to be able to take us out. GG. So Talonflame is vulnerable without shields, because even in a good matchup like Toxicroak, the Sludge Bomb really hits super hard. And in this match we get a Roserade lead. This is great for us because the main coverage move Roserade has is the Fire Weather Ball, which again Talonflame would resist. So it pretty much walls it. And they swap into an Azumarill, and we have Meganium for the hard punish. And there aren't much better matchups for an Azumarill than having a Meganium to lock it down. Even if they've got Ice Beam, you can take one, you can hit them with a Frenzy Plant, and then you can farm them down. If it's an XL Azumarill, I think you have to throw 2 Frenzy Plants, but you outpace them anyway. So you can get to 2 Frenzy Plants before they get to 2 Ice Beams, so it's still a pretty dominant matchup. And they've got an Altaria coming in to farm us down, obviously thinking that the Altaria is going to have a good energy lead to deal with maybe the Talonflame, but we've got Galarian Stunfisk we can bring in and absolutely wall this energy. Altaria doesn't have any moves to threaten Galarian Stunfisk, and we're going to go ahead and throw this Rock Slide at the Roserade. Roserade is pretty squishy, so they're really going to be tempted to shield it, and now we've got Talonflame locked against it. We're just going to be able to farm this thing down. There's not many situations where you're not going to need a shield on Talonflame, but this is one of them. You can just take these moves all day. We're going to shield once just because we've got 2 shields to burn, and it's going to mean that we've got quite a bit of health to threaten this Altaria with Brave Birds. We're going to go for a Flame Charge first, then go for the Brave Bird. They're not going to shield, so we're just going to go for another Flame Charge at this point because the ramped up damage is going to start adding up too much here, and we're just going to, well, we were going to farm them down, but well, we're going to shield so we can. We want Talonflame to have this win. Claim King of the Skies. GG. Talonflame is picking up quite a lot of positive leads for us today, which I was kind of surprised about. I was worried about it getting walled a bit more often than it did, which was why I made sure to bring Meganium and Stunfisk to cover its weaknesses, but it is really showing that it's got quite versatile coverage on the meta. Now here we've got a Skarmory lead and they're staying in, which makes me really suspicious that they're weak to Talonflame in the back. And you can see how much those Incinerates are doing. They're absolutely smashing Skarmory to pieces. We're going to throw a Flame Charge here because we were worried that we're going to get to another Sky Attack before we were able to farm them down. We've still got a little bit of energy residual. They come in with a Whiscash, and like we said before, this isn't a bad matchup for Talonflame, so we're just going to throw the Brave Bird. See if they want to shield. They don't. They get one shot. Get wrecked. Whiscash, and now they've got a Scrafty in the back, which makes sense why they didn't swap out of Skarmory, because they just didn't have anything that good to deal with it. Because again, the counters from Scrafty are resisted on Talonflame, and we're just going to be able to threaten this thing pretty heavily with Meganium, but we're not going to shield it either, because at this point, a farm down with Talonflame is probably the win con. Galarian Stunfisk does not like seeing Scrafty, but it's so low now that Galarian Stunfisk could also take this by just getting to a Rock Slide. But we're going to bring in Talonflame because we want to give Talonflame the wins when it has the chance to get them. We're not going to shield to see if it can take this move, and it can take the Foul Play. So if you're wondering if it can take Foul Play, there you go. It does about 50% damage. Jumping on now into the next match, and we get another Talonflame Mirror Match lead. And we learned a couple of lessons from before. And what you're going to see as well is that we don't throw the moves as soon as they're ready. We're trying to get an Incinerate through when they throw their move. And we don't manage to get one through, but it does really flip this matchup in your favour if you can get an extra Incinerate through. And you see they get one through there when we throw. That is not good for us. That means they're so much more charged up on energy. They swap in a Azumarill and we throw a Brave Bird. This is a questionable decision, but it does put the Azumarill into almost farm down range for Meganium here. So we're not going to shield this, and I think we're going to go for the Vine Whip down and have a lot of energy to throw at the Talonflame when it comes back in, because we assume they're going to bring it back in. And they get an Incinerate through again when we throw, so this thing has a lot of energy now, and look at how hard it's hitting us. It's going to be able to farm us down. This thing is at 100 energy almost definitely. It's super scary, but they are out of shields, so we don't get an Incinerate through there. But Talonflame, they throw a Hurricane. We know there's no way they have another charge move ready if they've got a Hurricane off. So hopefully this is a Flame Charge, which we should survive. We get off our Brave Birds and take them out, which is super lucky. If they'd have thrown the Flame Charge, they probably would have been able to make it to the Hurricane and take us out. And they've got a Machamp in the back, and we've just got Stunfisk left. But shields are down. Like, this is a bad matchup for Stunfisk, but when shields are down, you can do a lot by landing this Earthquake. Is it going to be able to take it out? It's going to be super close. It's almost one shot, not quite. We found them down with Mudshot. GG. Stunfisk is a Machamp counter confirmed. Now, we pull another Skarmory lead, and as we've said, this is great for Talonflame because we can just throw the Flame Charge and ramp up our damage. And this time, we're not going to throw a move against the Azumarill that swaps in. We're just going to come in with Meganium, and we're going to build up energy. We're going to throw the Frenzy Plants and take this thing out. We're going to build up close to 2, because since they already got the Ice Beam off, they might be tempted to shield and thinking they can flip switch, but they don't. They go down. That's fine. They bring in the Skarmory to farm down. We're going to do a nice chunk of damage with Earthquake. If you're stuck with a Meganium against a Skarmory, always go for Earthquake because it's single resisted rather than the Frenzy Plant, which is double resisted, I think. And we bring in Stunfisk, and they've got a Toxicroak to swap in to this thing. Now, really, we should have swapped out to Talonflame straight away rather than eating this Mud Bomb. But we're going to go ahead and throw the Mud Bomb. We feel like Talonflame is our win condition here because it's got such a good matchup against both Toxicroak and Skarmory. but it is squishy and this fast move damage is just going to start adding up. So can Talonflame sweep for us? We're throwing a move now, we're going to shield it. We don't want to take a chance that it's a sludge bomb, and it is, which is great for us. It means we can probably farm. No, we decide not to farm. I'm just going to throw the flame charge, get rid of this thing, and we've still got a bit of residual energy towards getting to another flame charge to take out this Skarmory. And Skarmory gets to charge moves around the same pace that Talonflame does, maybe a little slower depending on whether you're 1 or 2 moves away, but they get to the Sky Attack just before we do, and they take us out. But Stunfisk has a decent bit of health left, enough to get to a Rock Slide, take them out, and take the win. GG. So you can see this team is performing pretty well against even meta lines. Even in these early ranks, we're pulling some strong players, some strong teams, and we're still able to pull off wins. And once again, we get a positive lead in Obstagoon, and they swap out into a Frostlass. I don't know if they were trying to psych me out into swapping myself, but we just throw a Flame Charge, and it one-shots the poor thing, get smashed Frostlass, and they come back in with Obstagoon, and we're going to shield now because we're pretty sure they must be pretty weak to Talonflame if they swapped in a Frostlass into it. We're going to go straight for the Brave Bird, and then we're going to swap into Meganium because their switch clock will not be up yet, but they get another move off, so now we're going to double shield because we really do feel like Talonflame's got a lot of play left to offer this match. So we swap into Meganium against this Obstagoon. They're going to throw another move. This isn't going to threaten too hard unless it's a gunk shot, but they didn't have the energy for it. We're building up more energy before we throw this Frenzy Plant to take them out, to see what they want to do. They choose to shield, which is kind of surprising, but maybe they don't have a good answer for Meganium in the back either. So we take the Night Slash, we're going to throw this Frenzy Plant, take them out, and let's see what they've got in the back. Is it something that can threaten Talonflame and Galarian Stunfisk? It's an Altaria. We're going to bring in the Stunfisk. This is GG, there's nothing they can do here. We wait out the switch clock, we're not particularly sure why. We decide we want to try and land a Brave Bird on him with Talonflame just to reiterate how much damage this does. We're kind of playing with our food at this point really because there's nothing they can do against the Stunfisk, but we bring it in now and they choose to end the match there. Good game. So guys, we've got one more match for you today, and then we've got bonus match where we pull a Politoed lead and you guys guess to see if we can actually pull the win out from that matchup. But in this game, we got Talonflame. Now again, we got to put what we've learned to use in this matchup to try and take switch advantage. We get an Incinerate through. That's absolutely massive. We're going to shield in case they just go straight for the Brave Bird. They don't, it's a Flame Charge. Now we've got a big energy lead, as you can see. They don't get an Incinerate through when we throw, so we've still got the energy advantage. We get a shield out of them. And now we're going to go for the Brave Bird. We don't think they're going to shield twice. I wouldn't be inclined to shield twice, and we'll see if they're not. They get one shot, they get taken down. So we've got switch advantage. They bring in an Umbreon, and we swap straight out into Meganium to clear the debuff on Talonflame and save it for later in case it's got some play against whatever's in the back. This play can backfire if they've got a flyer to really hard punish the Meganium aggressive swapping, but also we've got Galarian Stunfisk to wall a lot of that energy if that were to happen. But they're staying in with Umbreon, so we're not too stressed about this. We're just going to go for these Frenzy Plants, and then we're going to see what they've got in the back, and if it's going to be able to handle Stunfisk, Talonflame, and a bit of Meganium. Are they going to shield the Umbreon? Are they going to let it go down? They choose to shield, so they must be kind of scared of the Meganium, so we decide to swap out into Stunfisk and catch this energy, because we're not sure why they're so scared of Meganium, but it's a Toxicroak in the back, and that's the game done. We're going to get to this Earthquake, we're going to take them out, that's going to be a good game. So I'm going to leave you guys with a bonus match with the terrible lead against a Politoed, and you guys let me know if you managed to guess right whether or not we were going to be able to take the win on that game. And let me know what you guys think of Talonflame and of this team. I'm super excited now to use it in Ultra League. It's meant to be even stronger there than it is here, so it's going to be an absolute monster. So don't forget guys to like and subscribe to support the channel, ding the bell, all that good stuff to get notified when we upload more videos, and as always I will catch you dudes next time.